Recent claims that Social Security is paying billions to the dead have sparked outrage, but the real scandal isn't the fraud, it's the manufactured crisis being used to justify gutting the program. The so-called evidence comes from outdated government databases riddled with incomplete, misinterpreted, or badly extracted data. What's being presented as proof of systemic abuse is really just proof that Social Security's records are old and imperfect. But instead of fixing these issues, politicians are using them as an excuse to strip people of their benefits. The Social Security Administration has been digitizing records for decades, but digitization doesn't automatically mean accuracy. Many of these records originated on paper or microfilm, and when they were transferred to digital systems, errors crept in. Some files are incomplete, others have placeholder values where real data is missing, and the agency still relies on outdated systems that can't easily verify or cross-check information. If a birth date was mistranscribed during data extraction, a living retiree might appear to be 150 years old, triggering an automated fraud alert. These are not criminals, they are real people being flagged because of bad data. Even when a person dies, Social Security doesn't immediately know about it. The agency relies on hospitals, funeral homes, and state governments to report deaths, and those reports often come with delays or mistakes. Someone who passed away last month may not be immediately removed from the system, but that doesn't mean their family is cashing in on fraudulent checks. In fact, improper payments, including those mistakenly sent to the deceased, make up less than 1% of Social Security's total spending, a number so low it hardly justifies the sweeping fraud panic being pushed in the media. The problem isn't that Social Security is bleeding money to ghost beneficiaries. It's that someone ran a database query looking for anomalies and didn't bother to understand what they actually meant. A fraud detection algorithm scanning for suspicious cases will flag anything that looks statistically off, like an impossibly high age or a deceased person still appearing in the system. But these flags don't prove fraud. They just highlight bad or outdated data. Without context, these anomalies look damning, but in reality, they're just the predictable result of trying to modernize records that were never designed for real-time accuracy. Instead of taking these findings as evidence that Social Security needs better infrastructure, officials are using them as justification for aggressive anti-fraud measures that will inevitably strip benefits from real people. We've seen this strategy before with voter purges, where minor discrepancies, like a missing middle initial, were used as pretext to kick eligible voters off the rolls. Now, the same logic is being applied to Social Security, where an elderly or disabled person could lose their only source of income because of a clerical error from decades ago. And this isn't just bureaucratic incompetence, it's a deliberate effort to weaken Social Security. Once enough legitimate beneficiaries have been wrongly purged and denied benefits, the system will start to look unworkable by design. That's when the calls to privatize it will begin, with financial firms and tech companies swooping in to rescue Social Security by turning it into a for-profit scheme. The real scandal isn't that fraud exists, it's that bad data is being weaponized to dismantle a program millions depend on. If this manufactured crisis isn't stopped, Social Security as we know it will be gutted, not because it was unsustainable, but because powerful people wanted it to fail. The best way to fight back is to expose the fraud myth before it's used as an excuse to cut benefits, privatize the system, and leave millions of Americans without the safety net they've paid into their entire lives.